Welcome to Feminine Roadmap Podcast. I'm your host, Gina Farrar. Each week, I bring you an inspiring conversation to help you navigate the challenges and changes of midlife so that you can not only survive, but thrive in your second half. Hello, Feminine Roadmappers. It is Gina here, and we are talking today about staying on track with your goals for 2020. I know time is flying by so fast, and sometimes life just runs us over. So today, my guest, Dr. David Joyette, and I are going to talk about your goals for 2020. Because even though it's not January 1st, every month, every day, we should be setting goals and seeking to accomplish them. So, Dr. David, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Why do you feel passionate about the topic of goals?
I feel passionate about goals because without goals, we will not be successful. Because as it was once said, that we must set goals because it's predetermined our success. It predetermines our success. If we do not know where we are going, any road will take us there. Because that's why we set goals. We really want to be successful. We really want to achieve in life because we were born to succeed and never to fail. However, though, we can succeed at success or we could succeed at failure. It is a choice. And that's why we set goals. We set goals to succeed at success. It was Nightingale said it like this. He said, he defined success this way. It is the progressive realization of determined personal goals. That's what success is. The progressive realization of predetermined goals. So we have to set goals if we want to succeed. We have to look down. You cannot go anywhere without looking ahead of you.
What does it look like if someone's never set a goal? Because sometimes that's overwhelming, I think, for some people, setting goals. They think it's this big, drawn-out process. You know, goals can be little, goals can be big. So how do we help people understand what setting goals looks like?
Okay, setting goals is like this. If you're going to drive downtown, you're going to, let's say you're going downtown New York, you have to know where you want to go. You just jump in the train and it will take you where you want to go without you knowing exactly where you want to go. The second thing is you want to know how long it's going to take you to get there. You estimate the time. It's going to, everything, goals must be smart. And we say it must be, first, when you set goals, it must be specific. I want to go to 42nd Street, but I have to have an address. What I'm going there for? I have to have an address. So I'm going to that address. Which train will I have to take to get there? Or what bus you have to take to get there? Or whatever it is. You must know. So you take how long it will take me to get there. So you're looking at smart. Is it achievable or attainable? And you must know these things. If you don't, then you'll just flounder. Because you will take off and go, I want to go to 42nd Street. Yeah, but where am I going on 42nd Street? Anywhere. You don't know. You must know where you want to go. What you're going there for. What are you going to do when you get there? What the results is going to be. You see, and these are the things that we set in our lives that we must achieve. These are the little goals like that. But you also have to set goals for your own personal life. I want to have children. If you're male, you first have to have a wife or a lady, the opposite sex, to have children. Can't have it by yourself. Science may change that someday, but you want to know, when do you want to have children? Or why do you really want to have children? When do you want to have them? How are you going to treat them? What are you going to do? How are you going to prepare for them? their future, your future. All of these things have to be taken into consideration. It just doesn't happen. And you have to measure the performance along the way. Each step you take, measure the performance. Did I do it well? Could I redo it? Or could I speed it up a bit as you progress? It starts motivating you to do more and more and quicker and quicker. And that's what happened with goals.
When we're talking about SMART goals, I know the S stands for specific.
Specific.
Mm-hmm. What does the M stand for?
Measurable. It must be measured. If it cannot be measured, it would not happen. It must be measured. And the A stands for achievable or attainable. Is it attainable? The R stands for realistic. Is it realistic? I want to make $1 million. How are you going to make $1 million? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? What things you have to put in place to make that $1 million? What are the things you need to make it? Is it realistic, really? If I just want to wake up in the morning and make $1 million, it's not. It wouldn't happen that way unless you're a millionaire. And you know of certain things you can do to create that $1 million. But if you have no money, $1 million will be out of your reach. It's not realistic. Okay?
Yeah.
And there must be time related. You must set some time. For instance, I wrote this book, How to Develop a Winning Self-Image, The Psychology of Personal Growth and Development. I didn't wake up one morning and write the book. It took me a long time. A long time, approximately 20 years of change, that I gradually went through a process of change. Each step of the way, I check my performance to see how I'm doing. Is it right? I made mistakes. I correct those mistakes. But I learned from them. I learned what not to do and how to do it right. And that's what it takes. That's what goal setting is. Because I set a goal, what I really wanted for my life, but for my family as well, for my children. I had to plan for their future as well. And that's what we as parents do. And we do it with everything. We should do it with everything. With every decision we make, it must be planned. So we should go through, should go through a goals program, so to speak. Goals program whereby you start looking at certain things. Because goals to me, is really advantageous. They're advantages to goals. What it does, it's give us a sense of direction and purpose. It focuses our attention on results. We anticipate problems and how to offset those problems. We set guidelines for decision making. Because as we go through the previous one I just mentioned, we start realizing what we have to adjust our decisions sometimes, because nothing happens as we wish, we like. It also sharpens our perception. For instance, if you decide to buy a house, before you live in an apartment, it matters to you, but houses never bother you. But you decide then to buy a house. All of a sudden, your perception is you start noticing the for sale signs on the lawns or the various other places, house for sale. You start noticing that. You start investigating, gathering information. It sharpens your perceptions. And it gives you a high sense of motivation of how you should go about it. Those 6 really steps. But then the process must begin by having action, because setting goals is one thing. It's the action that transpires from setting those goals that make things happen. We develop the plans, the premise for it. We have to look, if we want to fight, we have to look at our finances. We have to look at our social and other resources we need to look at to make things happen. to determine what resources we need. We have to conduct that. We have established objectives and look at, okay, I can't go beyond this because why? These things, it's out of my reach. I don't have the finances to do that. But I have this much, I can do this much with it. You look at how you're going to implement it and establish it yourself. But always, always keep evaluating each performance as you travel along. As you do things, you have to evaluate your performance. And you must do that each and every day as you start doing things for yourself, thinking of goals. As I've said, I think before, if we want to lose 20 pounds, we start to have to know what foods to eat, and we have to do all the research and find out what kind of foods we should eat and not eat. And we should cut back on some of the calorie intake and so on. But we also must measure every day as we travel. We notice, yes, I'm eating less every day. I'm eating a little less, but you have to exercise a little more. And as I exercise a little more, I notice I lose a few pounds. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. And you say, well, on average, I am going to lose 2 pounds a month to really get it over the year period. But what happened? As time goes on, you realize that as you progress, you start noticing the changes happening. It's accelerating as you start, and you're being motivated to take more and more steps as you start eating less and exercising more. And then you might find yourself, after 6 months, I lose 12 pounds. You continue. It may happen once, you might not lose anything, but that should not deter you. Just continue along the path, and you will achieve it. And it may happen that you use 24 pounds, 25 pounds over the year period. You start seeing that, and you say, I can do another 24 pounds, 25 pounds next year. So I start setting some other goals again. And that's what we do. That's how you set goals. As you achieve it, you become more motivated to do more and more with yourself, with your life, with your thinking, with your manner. And some of these things, as you start progressing and feeling good about yourself, these things will show up not only in your walk, it will show up in your talk, in your manner, your behavior. Everything will explode.
As you're talking about setting goals and being measurable, I think that's the piece that makes it doable, is taking each step. You need to know the big picture, but you have to reverse engineer it down to what is the first thing I can do.
Yeah. Bite-sized pieces.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when we set goals.
I like that you said that goals give us a sense of direction and purpose. I think sometimes when life gets really busy and we lose track of things, we get up, we do our tasks, we come home, we go to bed. We get up, we do our tasks, we come home, we go to bed. There's something about having a goal of some sort that gives you the motivation.
Yes.
It kind of breaks the rhythm or the I guess the redundancy of life a little bit. It helps you stay in the driver's seat.
Yes. And you control the process. And this has all come from your thinking, the mind. It comes from the thinking. It opens you up to start, and also challenge yourself. If you challenge yourself, you see, not just eat, sleep, and work. There's much more to that. Because as you get home, in my life, what I have done, everything, I have to plan it. I have to think about it. It must be done in a different way. I must always be ahead, not sitting back and wait until for it to happen. I must be in control. So you sit back and you will say, for instance, I remember many years ago when I started out, I asked my wife, I said, what do you do when you're on your way home from work? And she said, well, I just come home and I'm going to prepare supper. I'll just go to the kitchen and prepare supper. So I said to her, I say, okay, can I ask you to do a favor? And she said, sure. I say, I want you to start thinking of it from the time you leave work. Think of what you're going to do when you get home. Visualize yourself in the kitchen preparing supper, seeing all the things you have to do, and they're out there and you do them. And when you get there, I want you to execute them. And tell me, how long did it take you? And she did say, admittedly, she said, I thought of all these things. And when I get home, I was able to finish supper 20 minutes quicker. Why? Because she prepared mentally to have it done. It's like the longest mile starts with a single step. But at the same time, when we visualize things happening, it is like you have done it already. And when you get there to do it, and the runners do that, the people who, the sports people, athletes, this is what they do. Visualize it in their minds. And it's done quicker because why? And they keep winning and winning. They keep pushing the thing mentally. It's all in the mind. We have to use our minds more. We do not use our minds enough.
Visualization is a powerful tool because when you set a goal, you have to connect to it emotionally somehow, because otherwise it's just words, right?
Yes.
Visualization is a way of connecting. Like, we may really want something, but the visualization keeps us connected to how we feel and how important it is to us.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. That's what your visualization, and in times you make affirmation. I can do it. I'm capable of doing it. I will not fail. And you tell yourself you won't fail. If you believe you won't fail, you won't fail. You visualize that action. I will say that I will take you on a trip on a raft, and you're going down the river. In that raft, I want you to visualize yourself. Just close your eyes and visualize yourself. The sun is beaming through the trees and hitting you in the forehead. The breeze is lightly blowing over you as you take deep breaths until you get to your destination down the river. As you get off, I'll ask you to look and see the myriad of the beautiful flowers on one side and the brushes on the other side of the river. And I'll ask you to visualize yourself walking down a path and walking into a cabin. As you walk into that cabin, you will visualize you sit in that cabin and visualize. I want you to press a button. And as you press a button in that chair that you're sitting, you will see on a white television screen come up, and there you will see all the negative thoughts you have. And I want you to look at them and said, cancel. Cancel. Shout as loud as you can and see that all those negative thoughts wipe away from the screen of the television. It becomes black again. Then all of a sudden, it becomes light again. And I want you to think of all the good things and visualize all those good habits that you could achieve and attain. And I want you to see them flashing across the screen. As they flash across the screen, I want you to shout out how happy you feel about them. As you shout out, they will continue along the path, and the music will be playing and joys will be happening, and you'll feel good about yourself as you leave there, and so on. So you ask people to do that and think that way, to visualize themselves in a different place, but all the things that are happening to them, the good things as well as the bad things. They may be in a plane looking at, as they look up, they will see the rolling hillsides with cattle grazing, with trains passing across, and all they can think of is the negative. When they retire, when they have this, when they have that, forgetting that their journey enjoy themselves, look out for their families, and think positive things in life. Sure, negative things are there, and negative things are it's there for also to benefit you, so that you know it's there, but you don't really want to do it. You're going to overcome that negativity, because negativity makes you stronger, builds you, put more steel in your spine for the positive things to flow. That's what we do. And that's all comes out of setting goals for ourselves, for our future, and for future generations.
What I hear you saying is there's a level of setting goals that includes believing in the possibility.
Yes.
Setting a goal without the belief in the possibility is going to be a futile effort. Am I right?
Yes. And that's where you come in the expected results. When you say SMART, the SMART goals, I talk of specifics, I talk about measurable, attainable, it must be realistic, it must be time bound, but the expected results. You must foresee what the results are going to be. You must expect it. You must visualize it happening before you even begin.
A lot of times people think about goals like, oh, I'm not a goal setting person. They have an idea about goals. It could be so simplified that someone could say, well, everybody sets goals. Tomorrow I'm going to go to the store, right? It's not a lofty goal, but it is a plan. So if maybe we think of goals more of a plan, a way that we want to navigate our life, a way that we want to navigate our relationships, maybe our career, maybe rearranging our house. Like it could be a goal could be as simple as, moving the furniture around in a way that creates more flow. Goals don't have to be overwhelming. They're just a tool to get your life moving in a direction that feels good and is what you want it to be. Am I right?
Yes, right. That's true. Because having ideas without action, nothing is going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you said, sure, an idea comes, I'm going to move the furniture around. The question is, you start asking yourself some simple steps. Okay, why am I going to move it around? Where am I going to put this? Where am I going to put that? Why am I going to put it that way? What's the benefits? You start looking at all those little things. Okay, if I put it next to the window, I have more light. If I have to, you understand what I mean? You don't change it just for sake of changing, but you change it for a reason, a purpose that's going to benefit you down the road. I mean, a typical example, as I said, when I decided to get married, before I decided to get married, I said, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. I wanted to be a medical doctor and all the good stuff. But then these were just ideas, Floyd, the reasons why. But the day I got married, after I got married, I sat down with my wife and we discussed what our life is going to be. We look at having children, where we should live, how we should bring those children up. I was still in university, but how and where, what the schooling they should attend, and so on. And that's what happened. Where we should live, we start moving. We move to places gradually, and then we have to buy a house, and we plan to do that. Because my philosophy was, back in the Caribbean where I'm from, my parents, we had a home, a house. So I grew up in a house. So guess what? I wanted my children to have that experience because I had the freedom to run about and play and do it. So I want them to have that. And that's why we wanted to have a house. So we had that. And in turn, my children will want to have a house when they reach that age and they start having a family. They too will do that. And that's exactly what happened. So you can see it down the road when it builds. It's like a stepping stone to growth and development. The potential is there that we can achieve all of these things. And you see it as you measure each step of the way. You can see the footprints. And as I said before, I think previously, my children both, my daughter said, Dad, each footstep I take, I see your footstep ahead of me. I felt proud, felt happy, felt that she did that. My son said the same thing. I want to be like you, Dad. And he strived to be like me. You see, this is really what it, because you create a trail that others may follow. And that's the beauty, that's the reason for this book. I create a trail that others may follow. They may not meet the same obstacles that I met. They may not have the same problems I had and the same difficulties that I went through, but they're going to have some. But they build the spine and the backbone, the steely will to determine what the outcome should be. And it all starts with setting goals and action planning.
You know, as I'm listening to you talk about your children, I know for me that when I got married and had children, even actually before I had children, I had a goal of what kind of home I wanted to have in terms of the emotional state, the kind of support I wanted to have in our family. How did I
Yeah.
want our family to speak to each other? How did I want
Yes.
our relationships to be so
Yes.
that I could be intentional? Because I feel like goals give you the ability to be intentional.
Yeah.
Life doesn't happen to you. You are able to be more of a effective person in your own
Yeah.
life when you're
Yeah.
intentional about how you go about your relationships.
Yes.
Because most people think about diet and exercise when they think of goals, right? They kind of boil it down to, you know, I need to lose weight or I need to get in shape, I'm going to a reunion, whatever. But I like to think of goals more of like architecting my life in all areas.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe it would be helpful for people to look to have like a chart or write down the different areas of their life. You've got your finances.
Yes, it's good. The finances.
Mm-hmm.
There are other resources they need. There's spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
the social. You have, and it's a plan. Like you have a wheel, and you put all of these things, and you really want them to be balanced. And I will ask them when I said, okay, your finances, your social, your other business relationship. So you need about 7 of them in this big wheel, and your contact, and then when you say, okay, rate them on a stage of 1 to 10, where you see your financials, where you see your communication with family, your spiritual. If they're all balanced, let's say that they all come up 5s, then you find it's a good wheel to put in your vehicle. But if you have some at 7 and some at 2 and the other, you put that on your vehicle and you can't drive the vehicle. You get me?
Yes.
Can't drive that vehicle because you have to be balanced. We as human beings, so that, as you said it best when you say, yes, you look at yourself impersonally and you start saying, this is how I want my family to be brought up. This is how I want them to communicate with each other and their peers as well. This is how I want them to do this and so on. And you cultivate that within them, help them cultivate that by sharing that knowledge with them. Then you'll notice the changes happening because you're looking at the performance. And as they perform that way, you notice it and you feel good about yourself because guess what? You have achieved something. It motivates you to even move a little further and say, good, this is what I really want in the family setting. Now, what about the spiritual setting? So you start doing that gradually and build that up, and because of that, your family will be more balanced. And if you do it with others out there, others will become more balanced as well.
There's a lot of challenge in life as it is. And so I feel like setting goals and living with intention helps bring kind of a calmness and, like you said, a sense of purpose to life. Because when we know where we want to go, at least in one area of our life, it gives us a reason to get out of bed. I think it combats hopelessness and helplessness to have
Yeah.
goals
Yeah.
to move toward.
Yes. Yes. I do agree because it makes you want to I've challenged myself. I have achieved these little things. I challenge myself every day. I want to be better than I was yesterday. It's something that my mother taught me many years ago. She taught me, she said, "You're here in this world is to do one thing, is to learn. And as you learn, you will grow. As you grow, you will change." But she said, when I asked her, she said, "David, there will always be changes." And I said to her, I say, "Mom, I want to be perfect." And she mentioned to me, "All perfect people are in the cemetery. You will never be perfect." And she said, "Excellence is a word in the dictionary. That shouldn't be there because anything that is excellent today could be improved tomorrow. So what I really want you to do," she said, "is to improve every day. Is to improve every day. And as you improve," she said, "you will help others to improve." Yes, and I did. You improve, keep improving and feeling good about yourself. It causes you to challenge yourself each day. I want to be better. I want to achieve more. I want to do things differently. Still, I still have that tinge of perfection. I want to be perfect. I want to do it. I'm lazy, I call it. I say I'm lazy because when I do anything, it must be done once, not to do it and go half do it and go over. Mark you, I also said that anything that is worth doing badly. Because at first you may not do it well. But as you keep doing it over and over again, improving, and you become better at it, it becomes easier to accomplish, easier to do. So these things happen. We have to do it. It's practice. It's like having a driver's license. You learn to drive. You go through the course and take all the lessons, and you pass the course. They give you a license. They give you a license to drive, but also they give you a license to practice more driving. It's a license to practice. It's like a medical doctor. It's like a lawyer. He passed the course. He passed the exams, all the things that are necessary. You become a doctor or you become a lawyer, but now he has to go out and practice.
I think about children when children learn how to walk or they learn how to read or they learn how to hold a fork or hold a cup for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we forget we didn't come into this life with all of the skills, all of the abilities, and all of the resources necessarily. We gain them along the way. And the way
Yes.
that children learn to walk or learn to eat or learn to read, that's the cycle of life. There's
Yes.
always a process of learning, and it takes time. Some things will come quicker and some things take a little more time.
Yes.
But there's a persistence, I think, that's necessary in the process. We have
Yes.
to just lean in. This is my perspective, Dr. David, is this. I have to live this life anyway, right? It's the days are coming whether I'm ready for them or not. So I might as well partner with time and life and at least ride the wave in a way that feels good for me in the ways that I can.
Yes. And that's what it is. That's what life is. You choose the path, and that's what you did. You're choosing the path to do it as you go along, rather than creating the wheel, which is difficult to do. The people have created that wheel before, and why go out and do that hobby task and do it while you can, as you said, read the waves, gradually walk along with others in the path. It's easier that way. It's less stressful because, as we know, stress, we need stress in our lives to make life worthwhile. Some of us. Some of us have more stress and normally it kills us. Majority of the diseases that happen today, the high blood pressure, cancer, a variety of cancers, they're all caused by the stresses our bodies go through. So why push yourself through that? You know, because we really want it. It's a difference. I always say we are here. God put us on this planet, and He gave us some tools, and He say use those tools to your best advantage. And that's what you just mentioned. Use those tools to your best advantage. He gave you some talent and abilities to use them. But some of us don't have the abilities and the talent, but we want things outside of our abilities and talent. And we stress ourselves out into getting it. And guess what happened? That's why we end up with the cancers and the various other things. We have heart disease, and some people commit suicide and whatnot and so on because they feel that's the easy way out. I box myself in. And we can't allow that to happen. And the best thing is to ride the wave, as you said. Yes.
One of the things that came to mind while you were talking, I think, is we're setting goals for ourselves, especially if we're parents or grandparents, outside of character goals, helping our children or our grandchildren develop character, things on the inside like that.
Yes.
I think it's important to help them identify what it is they want to do. I know a lot of parents or grandparents want to kind of direct the lives of their children or their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And I think a worthy goal, this is my perspective, let me put that in there. A worthy goal is to say, I'm going to empower my children and my grandchildren to find the life that they want to live.
Yes.
To become the people they want to be.
To be, yes.
Yes, and to use the gifts that they've been given in a way that feels good to them. Because each person only gets this one shot, and it's important that we don't waste it.
That's true. I mean, I am fortunate here. I have grandchildren as well, and I have two little ones right around here. And it's my goal, my whole thing is to empower them, as you said, to guide them through so that they do not, they can love what they do. Look at their talents, look at their abilities, see what they're capable of doing, and let them strive on those things that they're capable of doing, rather than becoming frustrated. Parents guiding, telling them, I want you to be this, I want you to be that. They should be what they want to be.
Life is such a dance in our relationships, because I think a lot of people have ideas of what marriage, quote, should be, like how a wife should be or how a husband should be. And I think there are fair expectations, like I feel like it's fair to expect your spouse to be faithful or, for you to be partners in what you do. But I think this life and setting goals we can have big goals for like the environment in our home, the mood in our home, but it really needs to be goals where we are having the impact on the world around us, not goals for us to direct other people's lives. It's so when I talk about my family, I think for me, when I set that goal, what it came down to was I didn't want anger to be the norm in my home. Anger is a normal and natural emotion, but I wanted to learn how to harness it in a way that made it productive and not destructive in my home.
Yeah.
So one of the things that was my goal was, this is how I worded it. I want there to be peace in my walls. I want that to be the prevailing sense in our home. So in order to do that, Dr. David, I had to learn the tools to make that a reality. So that's how that became a goal for me. So I had this ideal, right? My ideal was to have a home that was peaceful.
So then you did you went and did the research and gathered that. That's the key. You realize I didn't have that. This is what I want. And in order to get this, I have to learn the skills necessary to combat that. And that's what you did. Okay? So you went out and get that skill. So you said, no, I want peace. So I want tranquility. I want this. So I don't want any arguments here. I want that. But then anger sometimes is not a bad thing, but you have to ask why. Why the anger? I ask people this question. I ask my son the same question. What pays you? Who pays you to be angry? Nobody. Good. And why are you angry? When the skunk is angry, he sprays. When the dog is angry, he bites. When the this is angry, he does that. Why are you doing this? Why are you angry? You, as human beings, have more. You have 100 billion cells you're born with, and you had it up to 2 years, up to year 2, 100 billion. But then as we get older, we lose them. So we say, why are you getting angry? So you have to learn to understand and push that anger aside. Rather than looking for anger, look for the positive. Because if you look for problems, what do you find more of?
Problems.
Good. If you look for solutions, what do you find more of?
Solutions.
Good. And that's what happens.
And that's a worthy goal too, is to learn to create the environment or the relationships that you want. Because I think sometimes we get the idea that these things just, quote, should be, but that's not how it is. We really need to take personal responsibility and begin to take steps that will create that reality.
That reality. We have to make that reality. It's our responsibility, and that comes with a sacrifice. Because I said it once before, human beings, we all were hardwired for hating. For hating anything that's not like us. But we're seeing today people killing each other for no apparent reason, I believe, because of the hate we have in our heart, the anger we have. But why is it they're doing it? It's because they continue to going back to the cave brain within them and let anger take over. That's what happened to the lion and the tiger. They hate you when they see you. They're going to eat you. They're going to kill you. Whether they're hungry or not, they're going to destroy you. That's what they're programmed for, hate. They hate anything that's not like them. As we have been trained through education, through civilization, to love one another, to show love, empathy, caring, sharing, giving. Sit down and discuss things logically, look for reasons why, but yet we go about hating, killing, doing these things because we are too lazy to think. And I've said it before to you, thinking is our only resource, the only resource human being has. You have demonstrated some of that today when you said you want your family to be this way. And that's thinking. This is how I want that to happen. But many of us, many of us get entrapped. We went to school and we got a fancy education. We got education. We got the university thing. We fall into the intelligence trap, whereby we do not think anymore. We are so intelligent, we shouldn't be thinking. And we get angry. They should ask themselves, why are you angry? I'm intelligent. I'm so intelligent. I shouldn't be angry. I should be looking for solutions. Don't get angry. Just look for solutions. Many of us don't.
I feel like the goals really are solutions, aren't they? I mean, if you think about it, I'm setting a goal because I don't have something, or I want something and I haven't gotten it yet, or there's something I've always envisioned and I can't figure out how to get there. That's what the goal is. The goal is the vehicle to help us navigate.
That's where you want to go. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it is.
It's not this big lofty thing.
No.
You know, it doesn't have to be money driven. It doesn't have to be, fame, fortune. It's just a tool to help us live a meaningful, purposeful, fulfilling life.
Yeah. Because really, when we work on ourselves and make it happen, everything else flows. Hey, you'll be happy. And if you're happy, guess what? You'll make the lives of others happy. This world will be a better place. We won't have all the problems we have, and so on. But we have some people just like more problems and create problems for others. And we see that in society. That's happening. It's happening right around us. Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful for you sharing your passion on goal setting, because I think it's such a common conversation, but I'm not sure that people really totally understand what it is. I think they feel like it's for business people or it's for certain kinds of people. You know what I
No,
mean? Whereas we're bringing it down to that level that setting goals is for everyone.
it's for
Even our
every
children
one
should
of us.
learn.
Yes, everyone should set a goal. I mean, I will tell you, as I said before, I came out of the islands of West Indies, and I had a goal, what I really wanted to do in life. When I was growing up, I told my mother what my goal was. I started my life out as an elementary school teacher, but that was only a stepping stone to where I want to go. In order to get other education, the facilities weren't there in the island, so I had to travel to North America. I traveled to North America. A typical example is this. I got the States, I was in New York studying, and I was drafted because my brother sent for me and was part of the package, I guess. You have to serve national purpose. I was drafted. I ran away from the draft because I didn't want to fight a war, go to Vietnam at that particular time. So I leave the States and come to Canada and continue my education. So it just come, the pattern is this is what I really wanted to do, and obstacles are going to come. You're going to face these realities. As how you handle it. I could have stayed in there and fight and go to Vietnam or so, but I choose not to. I choose to come to Canada and finish my education here and do the things I really wanted. I did chemistry, and that's what I wanted to do. And eventually, I realizing certain things happen. You need one chemist for a factory. I decided that okay, I will change my tune and do something else. So I did other things, and then finally I went back into school and did psychology and business. And because I realized that these were more open. Psychology was to change me. It wasn't to change the world, it was to change me. The business was to help me to succeed in the world of work. And that's really what it was
Mm-hmm.
all about. So I chose those paths, and then I said, oh, well, after I reach a stage in life, I said, now the company that I was working for was really nice to me. They sent me away to train me and did all the good stuff. And I said to them after a while, I said, I want to retire after I reach that good old age of 50. I want to retire. So I took an early retirement package from them and start to do training and development using psychology and using business, marrying both of them.
That's a great example of the fact that sometimes when we set goals, the destination might not change, but the way we get there changes.
Yeah.
So I've always been taught to hang on to my goals and dreams, but be flexible in the how I get there. I set the
Yes.
goals and make adjustments as necessary.
Yes. Yes.
So
That's exactly what happened.
yeah, yeah.
So you have to be flexible. You have to sacrifice. You can't just be dogged in it. Oh, I'm determined to get there, and there's this big wall of her. So I was run into the wall, and no, you have to. Yeah, I have to go around the wall. It will take me a little while I go around the wall or find other areas to get, and that's what you have to do. And
Awesome.
that's what I have done in my life, and I wish others to do the same thing. Don't look at their life as dogged and determined. This is really what I'm going to do, and I have to have that. No, you don't. You take your time and do it quickly, but leave a path. Create that path so others may follow.
We're at the top of our hour now. And so to wrap up, why don't you give my listeners 3 key things you want them to take away from this conversation? What are 3 key things that will help them be better goal setters, or to even begin to set goals for the first time? What would those be?
The first thing you have to have is a direction where you want to go, a purpose. The first thing, that's the advantage. You must have that. You must know where you want to go. You start choosing parts of how you're going to get there. And by choosing parts of how you get there, be prepared to change. Be flexible. But do not give way to negativity. But allow yourself to focus constantly on that goal that you set in mind that you really want to achieve. But be flexible. Always be checking to see how far you have traveled. Others are going to help you along the way, but always be followed. You're going to walk in other people's shoes along the way. The other thing is look for results and take people along with you. Take others along with you. Take your family, some friends with you along the path. You know, one friend said to me, don't forget to take other people in your limousine with you when you're traveling. Because when you do that, you are multiplying the efforts and helping others to grow, to prosper and develop as you too grow, prosper, and develop. And the final thing is don't forget to dream, because that's all we have. When we dream, we use our ability to think, okay? We use our ability to think, because the great minds have, we cannot fly, but we create planes. We cannot swim the ocean, so we create ships. That's thinking. They dreamt this could happen. Things are being created because of someone dreaming. This is what I want to do. This is how we can do it. This is how, but don't forget to take others with you along the dream. That's what I will share with others. Don't forget to dream.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. David, for joining me today and sharing all of this wisdom and insight and these strategies with my listeners. I really appreciate you taking that time.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Okay. So today I've been talking with Dr. David Joyette. He is a man who has done several things, but he has written a book called How to Develop a Winning Self-Image. If you head over to www.feminineroadmap.com/episode 144, I will have the resources to connect with Dr. David and his book there. You could also catch the show notes. You can leave your email address and your name so you can connect to my community. And please don't forget to subscribe and rate wherever you're listening to this podcast. The more people that hear these messages, the more lives we can impact. My friends, don't forget to dream. Don't forget to dream. Always measure where you're going. Wake up each day with a purpose. Know where you're headed. Believe it'll happen, and don't give up. My friends, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to sharing more and more empowering messages and strategies with you in the weeks to come. Take care. Have a great week. Bye-bye.